Welcome once again to Tritiyo Matra. The United Kingdom is a significant trading partner and source of foreign direct investment for Bangladesh. The two countries have substantial bilateral trade, with the United Kingdom purchasing garments, textiles and other goods from Bangladesh. There is also a significant Bangladeshi diaspora in the United Kingdom, which strengthens cultural and economic ties between the two countries. In terms of development assistance, the United Kingdom has been a major donor and sponsor of development programs in Bangladesh, providing generous assistance in sectors such as education, health, infrastructure, and poverty alleviation. A few months back, the UK appointed a new British High Commissioner to Bangladesh, Madam Sarah Cooke, and she presented her credentials to Bangladesh President on June 8. She has previously served in Bangladesh from 2012 to 2016 as the country representative for the Department for International Development, DFID. Most recently, she was head of the Southeast Asia Department at the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office from 2020 to 2023 and the British High Commissioner to Tanzania from 2016 to 2020. She will be our special guest today to discuss UK-Bangladesh bilateral relations, and this is her first television appearance in Bangladesh as British High Commissioner. Madam High Commissioner, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Madam High Commissioner, how are you finding Bangladesh so far?
I'm absolutely delighted to be back here in Bangladesh. As you said, I've previously served here between 2012 and 2016, and I always wanted to return to this beautiful country. It's always had a very special place in my heart. The UK and Bangladesh have had a very long, strong partnership. We have a long shared history. We have very deep people-to-people ties, and we're also members of the Commonwealth together. So we have a real opportunity, I see, to further strengthen our relationship. Last week, I hosted the official birthday party of King Charles III and the party to celebrate the coronation of their Majesties. And it was very clear to me just how strong the partnership is between our two countries. I was delighted to celebrate the special occasion with so many friends and partners. And I'm really looking forward to, and my time here in Bangladesh, to really strengthening the UK-Bangladesh relationship even further.
And you were recently not new to Bangladesh, as you said, and we know as you served here from 2012 to 2016 as the country representative for the Development for International Development. Now as the High Commissioner, you were seeing Bangladesh from two different vantage points and at two different moments in history. Has your understanding of Bangladesh changed significantly due to seeing Bangladesh from these two different perspectives?
Well, I've seen a lot of change actually since I was last here in 2016. The country is on the cusp of graduating from least developed country status, and the country is also playing a much more prominent role on the global stage as well. And then very visibly, as I've been going around the city and the country, I've seen a lot of change. When I first arrived, saw the new terminal that is being built at the airport. That's going to make a very big difference to the country. I've seen new roads, the new railway. All this is going to really help even strengthen further Bangladesh's very impressive economic performance. And I think in that context, as you said, when I was last here, I was the head of the UK's Development Assistance Programme. I've now come back as High Commissioner, and I think in that time our relationship with Bangladesh is also changing. I want to see a transition away from large-scale development programmes of the kinds that we used to run. You mentioned our programmes on health, on education. Now we're changing our development assistance because Bangladesh is changing itself, and we want to see a much more modern strategic partnership between our two countries, boosting economic ties, strengthening our security partnership, and working together on key global and regional issues such as climate change, the plight of the Rohingya, and a free and open Indo-Pacific. So in the time I've been away, I've seen really significant change, and I'm really delighted to be back and looking forward to working on all these issues.
Ms. Sarah Cooke, let's talk about trade and investment. And trade and investment are perhaps one of the core pillars of UK-Bangladesh relations. According to the UK government, in 2021, foreign direct investment FDI from the UK in Bangladesh was £816 million, and total UK imports from Bangladesh amounted to £3.8 billion in the last quarter of 2022. In a recent meeting with 𝗙𝗲𝗱𝗶 Rahman, private industry and investment advisor to the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, you stated, I quote, "We are very keen to take them still further, the trade and investment partnership between our two countries," unquote. You also stated that this is one of my priorities as I'm right here as the new British High Commissioner to Bangladesh. What are your thoughts regarding the current level of trade between the UK and Bangladesh, and what are some of your plans to take our bilateral relationship, trade relationship specifically, still further?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. One of my top priorities whilst I'm here is to strengthen the two-way trade and investment relationship between our two countries. It is already strong, but I think it can be even stronger. I'm particularly keen to strengthen trade, to see open markets and a firm commitment to creating jobs in both of our countries. Just last week, the UK launched its Developing Countries Trading Scheme, which is a global scheme working in over 60 developing countries around the world. And through that scheme, of which Bangladesh is one of the beneficiaries, we will see extended preferential tariffs and also simplified rules of origin, simplified trade rules, which will make it easier for Bangladeshi companies to export to the UK. As you said, we already have a large number of exports, particularly from the garment sector, but the Developing Countries Trading Scheme should support the garment sector, but also help Bangladesh diversify its exports into the UK market. The other area I'm hoping to increase is also trade from the UK into Bangladesh as well. So based on open markets, based on a level playing field, and seeing increased investment from British companies coming into Bangladesh. There are so many sectors where there is strong potential for British companies to come and invest and operate here in Bangladesh. And I'm keen to really help maximise those opportunities. They could be, for example, in education, seeing British educational institutions bringing their high quality education courses, setting up campuses or partnerships with local universities. We're looking to strengthen our investments in financial services, professional services, in healthcare, in technology, in aviation. There's so many sectors where there is potential, and I'm really keen to boost that two-way trade and investment, as I said.
Press releases from your meeting with the Prime Minister's advisor stated that the UK has expressed interest in taking trained nurses from Bangladesh to work in the United Kingdom. Could you elaborate a little more on this plan?
So Bangladeshi healthcare workers already make an important contribution to the UK's National Health Service and also to UK society more generally. Obviously, we want to ensure that we're recruiting healthcare workers in a responsible way to ensure that we're not inadvertently impacting the healthcare system from the countries where they are coming from. As you said in your introduction, the UK has been working in partnership with the government of Bangladesh to strengthen the local health system here for many years. So, for example, we've helped to train 8,000 midwives through our work to support the establishment of a midwifery profession here in Bangladesh. And we also have British institutions that are working with local institutions here. A really good example is the 𝗙𝗲𝗋𝗶𝗹𝗶 College of Nursing, where the University, Glasgow Caledonia University, which is a leading expert in healthcare in the UK, has set up a partnership here in Bangladesh to train nurses. So what we're trying to do, our plan is to work to strengthen the local health system, and while we remain open to taking trained nurses back to the UK as well. But it's very important to us that we do that in a responsible way, so we're not adversely impacting the local health system here.
High Commissioner, the UK recently signed a joint communique with Bangladesh with the aim of establishing an aviation partnership for the necessary cooperation in the development of Bangladesh's aviation sector, including the purchase of passenger and cargo aircraft from Airbus. How significant is this new development from your perspective, and what is the current status of the new deal?
Well, I think it's a very important partnership that was signed, a government-to-government partnership, the Aviation Trade and Investment Partnership. And it was signed, it's a very significant development. I think it's a sign of our commitment to the aviation industry here in Bangladesh, and also our support to Bangladesh's ambitions to become an aviation hub here in South Asia. That will be an important contribution to Bangladesh's continued economic growth. So we also want to use this partnership to help create jobs and to boost trade and investment in the way that we were talking about earlier. And I think this partnership will help bring UK expertise, UK technology to Bangladesh. And as you said, there are British companies who want to come here and work as part of that partnership, so we can really strengthen the aviation sector here and deliver that ambition to be an aviation hub in the region.
And from your understanding, what are the main difficulties being faced right now for United Kingdom's investors to invest in Bangladesh?
So the UK is the second largest investor in terms of foreign direct investment stock. I'm very proud of that. I think it's a signal of the strength of our relationship. And we invest in a range of sectors. We have world-class companies here, HSBC, Standard Chartered, Unilever. And as you know, they are subject to very strict legislation in the UK to ensure that they are working responsibly around the world and meeting international standards. And we are working together with Bangladesh to improve the investment climate, to make it easier for companies from the UK and around the world to start and operate businesses here. A very good example of that was the Trade and Investment Dialogue, the second dialogue that we've held, which happened earlier on in the year. And there we discussed a whole range of issues where we can strengthen the investment climate. I've spoken to a number of British companies since I've been here, and I think for them, or what all international investors want, is predictability of their investments.
Unpredictability.
So they want predictability. They want to know, they want clarity of the tax regime. They want to know that their intellectual property rights will be protected, and also if they're in any commercial disputes, that there'll be improvements in commercial dispute resolution. Those are the kind of areas that we are engaging with, we're supporting to strengthen the investment climate, because then there'll be more companies from the UK and around the world investing in Bangladesh and creating jobs for mutual benefit and for mutual prosperity.
Ms. Sarah Cooke, as we all know, the RMZ sector is the lifeblood of Bangladesh's trade economy. But do you see any other economic sectors in Bangladesh that have the potential to significantly complement Bangladesh's trade portfolio?
As I said, I think there are a range of sectors where British companies have an interest in investing. But I think a favourable business climate in the way that we were describing and open trade policies will be the way to support Bangladeshi companies to compete and on the global stage and be able to access new markets in my own country, but also around the world as well. And if we can have more export competition, more innovation, that will then enable companies to access those markets. We've got, as you said, garments are the key sector where Bangladeshi companies are exporting to the UK. I've seen bicycles made from Bangladesh in UK markets, and I've also seen ceramics. Some of the big retailers in my country purchase from Bangladeshi companies. So I'm sure if the conditions are right, there'll be many more companies that can take advantage of the new developing countries trading scheme that I mentioned, take advantage of those preferential tariffs, those simpler trade rules, which will enable them to access the UK market.
And what's about pharmaceuticals industry?
Yes, I think where Bangladeshi companies are able to meet UK standards, where they are able to compete in the UK market, there are plenty of opportunities for Bangladeshi companies to export to the UK. And as I said, the Developing Countries Trading Scheme is a really good opportunity for Bangladeshi companies to identify where they can take advantage of that scheme in order to export to the UK market.
Bangladesh is stated to graduate from LDC status in 2026. And this is likely alter a lot of preferential trade relations Bangladesh currently enjoys with various countries. According to the British High Commission, the UK's Developing Countries Trading Scheme 𝗙𝗵𝗔 is an indication of the kind of post-𝗙DC partnership we might look forward to with the UK. Is there a significant difference in the benefits provided by the 𝗙CTS compared to the previous GSP model? And what are the key preconditions Bangladesh must meet in order to acquire and maintain 𝗙CTS benefits?
Yes. So as you say, the Developing Countries Trading Scheme, the 𝗙CTS, it was launched last week and is now in operation. So is an opportunity for Bangladeshi companies to export to the UK. It brings extended preferential tariffs, and it also brings simpler rules of origin, which means that the trade rules are more simplified, which brings benefits to Bangladeshi companies. And as we were discussing, there's a whole range of opportunities across a range of sectors because of the extended preferential tariffs. It applies to 98% of Bangladeshi exports into the UK. So that means there are real opportunities for companies to export into the UK market. But as you say, there are some conditions attached. In order to retain the benefits of the 𝗙CTS, Bangladesh needs to comply with international conventions around civil and political rights, around human rights, around climate and environmental rights, and also around anti-corruption as well. And but the opportunities for Bangladeshi companies to export to a large market in the UK are substantial as a result of this new trading scheme.
High Commissioner, as you mentioned climate issues several times, and as you know that Bangladesh is one of the most vulnerable nations in the world when it comes to climate change. Bangladesh and UK recently signed an accord for working together on climate action bilaterally and multilaterally to help deliver the outcomes of COP26 and COP27. Could you provide a little detail on how the new climate accord might be implemented, particularly in terms of implementing the loss and damage fund?
Yes, so I think I was delighted that the climate accord was signed in March of this year, as you said. It builds on a long history of partnership between the UK and Bangladesh on climate change. We've worked together on that area for many, many years. When I was here before, we worked together on the national strategy for Bangladesh to tackle climate change. We worked together on clean energy, particularly for the poorest communities. And we also worked together on adaptation, how to adapt to the effects of climate change. And I think Bangladesh's impressive record on cyclone preparedness is a really good example of that adaptation. But as well as working domestically here in Bangladesh, we've been working together internationally to really drive international action on climate change. And as you said, we particularly worked closely at COP26 in Glasgow in the UK and also together at COP27. So I think what the accord does that was signed in March is to really consolidate on that long partnership and set out how we will work together in future. And that includes further work on adaptation, adapting to the effects of climate change here in Bangladesh, how we can work to mitigate climate change, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and also help Bangladesh access climate finance as well. That is going to be a key priority over the next few years. The City of London, as you know, is one of the world's financial hubs. A lot of climate finance comes from the City of London. So if we can help make those partnerships to enable Bangladesh to access climate finance, then that's going to be a really important outcome of this accord. And you also mentioned loss and damage. That's a key priority, I know, for Bangladesh and for many countries that are particularly vulnerable to climate change. The UK is a member of what is called the Transition Council, which is a global council which is developing proposals for funding loss and damage. So we want to work with Bangladesh to really understand Bangladesh's priorities, what will work on the ground in terms of loss and damage funding. So we can take that knowledge, take that experience as we sit on that council to help develop these proposals so we can make sure countries such as Bangladesh benefit from the loss and damage funding proposals that are being developed over the next few years. That working together in partnership is really important to us.
On 11 March, British Minister for Indo-Pacific, 𝗙ecie𝗂𝗶𝗹, 𝗙𝗹𝗹 paid a visit to Bangladesh in order to sign the climate accord. She also discussed issues of security, democracy, human rights, trade, and the Rohingya refugee crisis. Her visit seems to underscore that increasing bilateral ties with Bangladesh falls under the UK's Indo-Pacific strategy. From your perspective, how significant are UK-Bangladesh bilateral ties in UK's broader tilt to the Indo-Pacific?
Yes, well, as you say, we have, as part of our Indo-Pacific strategy, we really want to focus much more on the Indo-Pacific. The region is critical to our economy, to our security, and also our interest in ensuring an open and stable international order. And I think our partnership with Bangladesh is extremely important to our work in the Indo-Pacific. As I said earlier, we have a very long shared history. We have very deep people-to-people ties, and also we are both members of the Commonwealth, which means we have a very deep foundation for our partnership and our work together in this region. And I think that gives us opportunities to work together on a whole range of issues, be it peace, security, maintaining the rules-based international system. We also want to work together on climate change, as I say, and also regional issues such as the plight of the Rohingya. So I think there's a whole range of areas where we can work together, both bilaterally and as partners in the Indo-Pacific.
There seems to be an obvious struggle for influence brewing in the Indo-Pacific between China and the US. With the beginning of AUKUS, the UK also seems to be eager to be a part of the fray. Do you believe there might be a more important role for South Asian countries such as Bangladesh in the ongoing power dynamics at play in the region?
Well, as I say, I think Bangladesh is a very important partner for us in the Indo-Pacific. The Indo-Pacific is a region that's very important to the UK for our economics, for our security, and also to ensure an open and stable international order. We want to work very closely with Bangladesh and other countries in the region so we can promote stability, and that will be the best route to security in the region and in countries in this region of South Asia as well.
High Commissioner Sarah Cooke, the UK recently stated that it is providing an additional £2.3 million in humanitarian support for Rohingya refugees. The FCDO also stated in a press release in May that the UK is coordinating with the US and Canada to sanction Myanmar's military regime. Do you believe that a regime change in Myanmar is the only solution to repatriating the displaced Rohingya people? Is there a possibility that the refugee crisis will remain unresolved indefinitely?
So I think the solution to the Rohingya crisis lies in Rakhine, lies in Myanmar itself. However, as we all know, the situation in Myanmar remains extremely challenging, and the conditions on the ground in Rakhine State are not yet conducive for the safe, dignified and voluntary return of the Rohingya refugees. What the international community hopes to see is durable solutions in Myanmar that end the cycle of violence here, and a key element of securing that is through accountability. And the UK is playing a key role to ensure accountability of the Myanmar regime. As you know, we have a seat on the UN Security Council, and we are what is called, it's a technical term, but it's what it's called the pen holder on Myanmar in the UN Security Council. So we use that role to keep the focus on accountability of the Myanmar regime. And we were delighted that in December last year, we and our partners were able to secure a UN Security Council, what's called a Chapter 4 resolution on Myanmar, the first one that we've had. And so that's a really important instrument for accountability. We're also supporting the International Court of Justice regarding Myanmar's obligations under the Genocide Convention. There's an ICG case on that, which the UK and other international partners we're supporting. And as you said, we have put in place a targeted sanctions regime. We've sanctioned over 20 individuals and 29 entities which are committing serious human rights abuses. So all this together is helping to keep the pressure and to ensure accountability of the Myanmar regime. But what we're also doing is supporting the refugees on the Bangladesh side of the border. Bangladesh, we're very grateful to Bangladesh's generosity for hosting the refugees in after they've been through such a challenging experience. And we, the second largest donor to the Rohingya response since 2017, we've provided over £350 million worth of support to support the Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh, to help them with shelter, to help them get access to education, to basics such as food and water. Those things we are supporting, working through UN and other partners to make sure that we're helping meet their needs. But at the same time, it's important that we're supporting the local community in Bangladesh as well, and we're making sure that our development assistance funding, as well as helping the refugees, is also helping the local communities down in Cox's Bazar. That's really important, given the generosity of the people, the Bangladeshi people, in supporting the refugees. And we will continue to do that. We will continue to support the government of Bangladesh and the Rohingya refugees whilst they remain here in Bangladesh.
Madam High Commissioner, you have arrived in Bangladesh at a most opportune time, I must say, and the next general elections are around the corner. Bangladesh seems to have become a far more noteworthy player in world affairs since the last election cycle. Do you think this increase in the prominence of Bangladesh on the world stage can have an effect on how elections are held in Bangladesh?
Yes, I think they will. I think the increased prominence of Bangladesh on the global stage means that there will be considerable domestic and international interest in how the elections are held. There'll be interest in seeing credible, free, fair and participatory elections, and elections which are free from violence. If we are able to see credible, free, fair and participatory elections, it means that the Bangladeshis can choose their political future, which is obviously extremely important. And as we know, strong democratic institutions or strong elections is what will underpin the quality of domestic institutions going forwards. And that quality, strong institutions, will be really important as Bangladesh graduates from 𝗙DC status and also as Bangladesh seeks to attract more international investment into the country as well. We know that free and fair elections support political stability, and political stability supports international investment. So I think there will be a lot of international interest in how things develop over the next 6 months.
In order to facilitate more transparency during the elections, the Prime Minister has proposed the Commonwealth send diversified election observers to observe the next polls. Are there any plans regarding sending election observers from the United Kingdom?
Well, we know that election observers play a very important role and a very positive part of elections processes in countries around the world. In other countries I've been posted to, I've seen the important positive role that international observers can play. And obviously we welcome the Honourable Prime Minister's commitment to inviting international observers to observe the elections here. And as a close partner of Bangladesh, we will be working with our international partners to complement what they are doing, working through our bilateral programs, our political engagement with the range of political actors here in Bangladesh to do what we can to encourage credible, free, fair and participatory elections.
Election time violence and violent crackdowns are unfortunately a common occurrence in the history of Bangladesh. The security and law and order forces also have numerous allegations of violating human rights. The protect of human rights seems to be an important component of the new DCTS. Could Bangladesh risk losing DCTS if there is widespread violence and irregularities in the next general elections?
Well, I think first and foremost, the Developing Countries Trading Scheme, the DCTS, is all about boosting trade and prosperity. We want to strengthen our trade and investment with the country to create jobs and to create prosperity in both of our countries. As I said earlier, retention of the DCTS is based on respect for human and labour rights, compliance with international conventions on civil and political rights, on anti-corruption and on environmental environmental standards as well, climate and environmental standards. And obviously we'll be closely monitoring all these aspects so we can really understand the situation on the ground.
The United States has already sanctioned several members of Bangladesh's RAB and the organization too due to allegation of human rights violations. The US is also taking a very strong visa policy regarding the integrity of the next general elections. Both these acts have been received tremendously positively among the common people of Bangladesh. Any kind of pressure against undemocratic actors is wholeheartedly welcomed by the people. Are there any plans from the UK to follow suit with the US in this regard?
So as I've said, the UK shares the desire for Bangladeshis to be able to choose their political future through free, fair and credible elections where there is participation from across the political spectrum. Similarly, we encourage all political actors and the law enforcement agencies to refrain from violence and to respect human rights. We share information regularly with our international partners so we can understand the situation on the ground here in Bangladesh. But as I'm sure you'll appreciate, we don't discuss issues of visa policy. All UK visa applications are considered on their merits and in line with our immigration rules and guidance.
Bangladesh and the UK have historic cultural ties. What are your thoughts on the Bangladeshi diaspora in the UK? Do they have a significant effect in informing UK's policy towards Bangladesh?
We're very proud of the Bangladeshi community, British Bangladeshi community in the UK. They're a very large community and they play a very active role in British society. And I was very pleased to meet with young members of the British Bangladeshi community just a couple of weeks ago when I was back in London. And it was brilliant to see the interest and the engagement they had in Bangladesh. We talked about issues of climate change, of democracy, of trade and investment, how we can really strengthen the ties between our two countries. And those ties are very deep and very strong, and they range from sporting ties, cricket, as you know, is something I'm very passionate about, and but they range from people-to-people ties, arts and culture, food as well. There's so many different areas where the UK and the Bangladesh communities are so deeply connected. And I think the UK, the British Bangladeshi community can play a real role in helping us to understand the ties between our two countries. And as you know, we have political ties as well. We have 4 MPs who are of British Bangladeshi origin, and they obviously play an active role in our House of Parliament. So I think there's so many areas where we can work together to strengthen our relationship and to really to make sure it goes from strength to strength.
High Commissioner, considering all that you have seen so far about Bangladesh, how do you see the future of UK-Bangladesh relations 5 years from now?
So I see our relationship only getting stronger. As I said, I want to create and support a modern partnership between our two countries where we're strengthening our economic ties, where we're strengthening our security partnership, and where we're working together on global issues such as climate change and regional issues such as a free and open Indo-Pacific, and also working together on the plight of the Rohingya. And I'm very confident that our relationship can only go from strength to strength. And I'm really very much looking forward to the next 4 years and doing what I can to support that strong relationship between our two countries.
So would you like to add anything else if we missed anything?
I think all I want to say is that I'm delighted to be back here in the country. As I said, I always wanted to return. I've had an incredibly warm welcome and I just can't wait to get started.
Thank you, Madam High Commissioner Sarah Cooke, for your insight and perspective. We hope your time here in Bangladesh is both enjoyable and fruitful. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you once again for staying with us. Take care.